You are a person of your word. Think about that before you disagree. When you tell your boss the report will be ready, it is ready. When you promise your daughter you will be there at 6, you are there at 6. When a friend calls at midnight, you show up. Tired, but you show up. Your entire life is built on a reputation you earned the hard way. People trust you. They trust you because you keep your word. Except to one person. There is exactly one human being on this earth you lie to without flinching. One person whose plans you cancel at the last second. One person whose time you waste, whose goals you postpone, whose trust you have broken so many times, the two of you stop counting. And here is what should disturb you tonight. That person is you. You hold an almost perfect record. You break your word to no one, except the only one who has to live inside your skin. So the real question is not whether you have discipline. You obviously do. The question is why you spend every ounce of it on everyone but yourself. Something has been making that choice for you. A voice. It has been negotiating on your behalf for years, and it has never once lost a single round. Tonight, you are going to meet it. Let me show you the pattern, because once you see it, you will not be able to pretend you didn't. You do not have a willpower problem. I know that sounds like comfort. It is not. Look at your actual day. You walked into a meeting you dreaded. You answered the message you wanted to ignore. You finished a task with your name on it, even when every part of you wanted to stand up and leave. That is willpower, spent in real time. You use it constantly. You are not lazy. You are not soft. You pour out enormous discipline every single day. So why does it disappear the moment the promise is only to you? Here's what no one explains. You carry two kinds of promises, and you treat them as if they belong to two different men. The first kind is loud. Someone heard you make it. Your name is attached. Break it, and there is a face on the other side, a disappointment you have to watch, a price you can feel. The second kind is silent. You made it alone, in the dark, to yourself. No one heard it. No one is waiting on it. No one will ever know if it quietly dies. Now look at your record again. The loud promises you keep. The silent ones you bury. Not occasionally, almost every time. That single fact rewrites everything, because it means your problem was never discipline. You have a surplus of it. Your problem is that your discipline only switches on when someone is watching. Without meaning to, you trained yourself into a performer. You deliver for the audience. The instant the audience leaves the room, so do you. Stay with that discomfort, because it is pointing at something true. The gym you skip, the book you abandon, the work you keep pushing to next week, none of it is laziness. It is a man who can only keep his word when there is a crowd to keep it for. And the one arena where your future is actually being decided, the private one, with no witnesses, is the exact arena you keep walking out of. You have felt this before. You watched yourself do hard, heavy things for other people, then fall apart the second the only person depending on you was you. You called it self-sabotage. You called it a mystery. It is neither. It is a habit with a cause. And that cause is not a flaw buried somewhere inside you. It is a strategy being run against you, from the inside, by something that knows the exact words that make you fold. In a moment, I am going to read you its script, line by line. You are going to recognize every one of them. Picture the exact moment a silent promise dies. It is never dramatic. There is no war, no temptation with horns, no obvious villain. There is only a calm, familiar voice, and it always sounds like the most reasonable person in the room. That voice is the negotiator. Learn its face now, because it has been running the same operation on you for years, and it is very good at its work. Understand its first rule. The negotiator never tells you to quit. If it said, give up on your goal, betray yourself, choose to stay weak, you would refuse in a heartbeat. It knows that. So it never touches the goal. It does something far more intelligent. It offers you one small, sensible exception just for today, and it wraps that exception in the language of wisdom. You do not feel like you are surrendering. You feel like you are being mature. Here is its script. 4 lines. You have heard every one of them. The first is the appeal to fatigue. You are too tired tonight. Rest matters too. Push through now and you will only burn out. Notice how it steals the voice of self-care. It is not telling you to be lazy, it is telling you to be kind to yourself. So you close the laptop and the surrender feels like health. The second is the appeal to fairness. Look at everything you carry today. You have earned a break. This one wears the mask of justice. You worked hard, so you deserve a reward. And the reward, conveniently, is breaking the one promise that was actually yours. You do not feel like you quit. You feel like you were owed. The third is the appeal to logic. Starting tomorrow makes more sense. You will be fresh. You will have a clean week. You will do it properly. This is the most dangerous of the four because it is not even false. Tomorrow might truly be a better time, but the negotiator does not care about better timing. It cares about moving the action onto a day that never arrives, and it will make that same flawless case again tomorrow and the day after that. The fourth is the appeal to identity. Let us be honest, you are just not a morning person. This is not really who you are. This is the closing move, and it is the cruelest of all, because it does not ask you to skip the action. It asks you to agree the action was never yours to begin with. It hands you the exit and calls it self-knowledge. Read those 4 lines again and feel what they share. Not one of them sounds like an enemy. Every single one sounds like a friend handing you permission. That is the whole con. The negotiator does not need to beat you. It only needs you to agree, one time, that this particular surrender is the reasonable thing to do. And it only has to win a single round per promise. You can hold the line for an hour, a day, a full week. The moment you accept one exception, the promise is gone and your record takes another loss. So now you know its face and its 4 lines. But knowing the con is not the same as knowing why it still works on you, because you are not a fool. You can see these scripts for what they are. So why, even now, do they still drag you under? The answer is not in the voice. It is in something you have been building, quietly, for years, and it is keeping a record of its own. You think the problem is that you do not try hard enough. The truth is colder, and strangely, far more hopeful. Your mind is not broken. It is doing exactly what a healthy mind is built to do. It is keeping score, and it is being honest with you about the numbers. Your brain is not a motivational poster. It is an evidence machine. Every day it watches what you actually do, not what you announce, and it updates its picture of who you are based on the proof. That is not weakness. That is intelligence. It would be insane for your mind to keep believing a promise that has failed 200 times in a row. James Clear put it cleanly. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you believe you are. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your identity, and your identity is nothing more than the running tally of the votes you have already cast. Now look at what you have been voting for. Every silent promise you broke was a vote. Every morning the negotiator talked you out of. Every plan you let quietly expire was one more ballot dropped into the same box, and each one said the same thing. I am someone who does not do what he says. You have been casting that vote for years, quietly, daily, thousands of times over. So when you set a new goal tonight, burning with conviction, something underneath you stays silent. You can feel it. The excitement never reaches the floor. The goal feels hollow the instant you say it aloud, and you cannot explain why. Here is why. You are making a promise to a part of you that has watched you break every promise before it. You are asking for trust from the one witness who has every reason left to refuse it. That witness is not your friends. It is not your audience. David Goggins rebuilt his entire life in front of a mirror, answering to the only person whose verdict actually compounds over a lifetime. You own the same mirror. You have simply been failing its audits in private for so long that you forgot the score even had a name. Put that score on a screen. Self-trust, 0. That is not an insult. It is a diagnosis. And a diagnosis is good news, because it means you have been fighting the wrong war this entire time. You kept chasing more motivation, more discipline, more fire. None of that was ever the problem. The problem is that your own mind has filed you under unreliable, and no flood of motivation overrides hard evidence. You cannot talk your way back into your own trust. You can only prove your way back. and that rewrites the whole mission. You are not here to become more disciplined. You are here to become believable again to yourself. The good news hidden inside a self-trust score of 0 is simple. A score can be rebuilt. Old evidence can be buried under new evidence. The ballots you have been casting against yourself can be answered, one at a time, by votes that tell the truth. But before you race off to rebuild it, you need the most counterintuitive part of this entire process. Because the way most people try to win their trust back is the exact thing that keeps the score frozen at 0. Your ambition, the size of your goals, the very thing you are proud of, has been quietly working against you the whole time. When a man finally decides he has had enough, he does not start small. He goes to war with his entire life at once. Tomorrow he wakes at 5. He trains every day. He reads for an hour, cuts the sugar, kills the distractions, rebuilds everything, starting Monday. It feels powerful. It feels like the size of the promise proves the seriousness of the man. It proves nothing, and it is quietly destroying you. Go back to the score for a moment. Every promise you make is a loan taken out against your own trust. A small promise is a small loan. A sweeping promise, the whole new life beginning at once, is an enormous one. And here is the part the negotiator prays you never see. The bigger the promise, the harder you fall when you default, and the more your trust score collapses on impact. So, your most ambitious restarts are actually your most expensive failures. That grand Monday plan lying in pieces by Wednesday is not a brave attempt that came up short. It is a giant vote against yourself, cast in front of the only witness who counts. You did not merely fail to change. You handed your mind one more enormous proof that your word means nothing, and you did it while feeling inspired. This is why the people who set the boldest goals often trust themselves the least. They are not lazy. They are hooked on the feeling of the big promise and bankrupted by the weight of the broken one. The negotiator loves your ambition because nothing feeds it like a promise too heavy for you to carry. So we turn it upside down. You do not need a bigger promise. You need one so small that breaking it would be absurd. So small your mind cannot build a reasonable case against it. So small the negotiator opens its mouth and finds nothing to say. That sounds almost insulting at first. You did not come here to make tiny promises. You came to change your life. Stay with me, because the smallness is not the weakness of this method. The smallness is the whole weapon, and I am about to put it in your hands. You do not get to rebuild your life this week. You have to earn the right to attempt it. That is not punishment. That is how trust has always worked. No bank hands a fortune to a man who has defaulted on every loan he ever took. It lets him repay something small, on time, then something larger, until the record speaks for him. You are that man. You are also the bank. So we begin with a minimum viable promise. One promise so small it is almost embarrassing. Not a new morning routine. One push-up, not an hour of reading. One page, not a transformed body. A single glass of water before your coffee. The size is meant to feel laughable because the size is not the point. The push-up is not the goal. The push-up is a payment, a small deposit dropped into an account that has read 0 for years, and you guard that payment like your future depends on it because it does. Here is the first rule of the rebuild. You never break the small promise. Never. The moment it feels too minor to matter is the exact moment it matters most, because an easy promise kept is still a vote that says, I do what I said I would do. That is the only kind of vote that moves the score, and a small one still counts. Now, the negotiator will still arrive. It always arrives. But from tonight, you use it differently. The appearance of that reasonable voice is no longer an invitation to think. It is the signal to move. The instant you hear, you are tired. You have earned a pass. Tomorrow is the smarter day. You do not argue back. You cannot win that argument. It is better at arguing than you are. So you refuse to open the negotiation at all. The voice begins, and that is your cue to already be moving before a single sentence of it finishes forming. Action is how you decline to attend the meeting. And there is one trap left, the one nearly everyone falls into. You will want to bring in a witness, an accountability partner, a friend who checks on you. Resist it, at least for now. Remember what your actual problem was. You only ever kept the promises someone was watching. Import a witness, and you have not fixed that flaw. You have fed it. You will perform for them, and the day they look away, you will fall exactly as before, because you never rebuilt the only account that counts. The witness has to be you. Write the kept promise down somewhere only you will ever see it. Let the proof gather in private. For the one person who stopped believing you, that is how the number climbs. Quietly, honestly, up off zero. Do this for even a few days, and something will happen that you are not braced for. A small, almost invisible moment that will catch you completely off guard. Let me tell you exactly what it feels like the first time the score truly moves. It will probably be a Tuesday, nothing special about it. The alarm goes off in the dark, and right on cue the voice arrives. You are tired, you barely slept. One more day will not matter. The same script, the same reasonable tone it has used on you 1,000 mornings. But this time you do not lie there and listen. This time, before the voice can finish its opening sentence, your feet are already on the floor. You drop down and do the one push-up, only the one you promised. Then you stand up in the quiet, a little confused, because it took 11 seconds and it was never really about the push-up at all. And here is the moment you were not braced for. You feel something move in your chest that you have not felt toward yourself in a very long time. Not pride exactly, quieter than pride. It is the faint, unfamiliar sensation of being a man who did what he said he would do. A small, clean respect for yourself, from yourself. You will want to dismiss it. One push-up, nothing. But your mind does not run on size. It runs on evidence. And you just handed it the first honest piece in years. A single ballot that told the truth. The number that sat frozen at 0 for so long moves. 1, that tick is the entire game. Because the feeling you just touched is not a prize waiting at the end of the journey, after the body changes and the life rebuilds. It is available on the first day, in the first 11 seconds, and it is the most addictive thing a man can rediscover. You stop chasing motivation the moment you taste self-respect, because self-respect was the thing motivation was only ever pretending to sell you. Do it again the next morning, and the next, and the voice begins to change. It does not disappear. It simply learns that you are no longer a man. It can talk out of his own word. It speaks. You are already moving, and slowly it runs out of things to say. That is what winning the war within actually looks like. Not a dramatic victory, a quiet morning, a kept word, and a man who has come back to his own side. So there is only one thing left to do. Hand your mind its first piece of evidence. Let me give you the exact assignment. Here is your assignment. Tonight, before you sleep, you choose one promise. 1. Make it so small, it is almost insulting. 1 push-up, 1 page, 1 glass of water before the coffee. If part of you thinks it is too easy to bother with, you have chosen correctly. Then you keep it for 14 days. Not most days, every day. And each time you do, you write it down. A line in a notebook, a mark on your phone, anywhere, only you will see it. That list is not a chore tracker. It is your trust score, rebuilding itself in your own handwriting, one honest vote at a time. But understand what makes this different from every restart that collapsed before it. This promise is not up for discussion. It is a standing order. You decided it once, with a clear mind, and you do not get to reopen the case every morning when the voice shows up arguing for an exception. The decision is closed. The negotiator can knock, but this door no longer has a handle on the inside. 14 days, 1 small promise, kept without exception, logged without fail. That is the entire assignment, and it is enough, because it was never really about the push-up. It is about showing the witness who quietly wrote you off that the verdict can be overturned. 1 kept day at a time. Go back to where we began, the one person you break your word to, the single exception in an otherwise spotless record. For years you called that a character flaw, a private weakness you were ashamed of. It was never a flaw. It was a con, run on you by a voice that only needed you to agree, one time, that a small surrender was the reasonable thing to do. You see it now, and a con only survives in the dark. The moment you can name the negotiator, hear its 4 lines coming, and recognize the score it has been keeping, its power starts to drain. But seeing it is not the same as beating it. A con is only undone by evidence, and evidence cannot be felt or imagined or promised. It can only be paid. The first payment is available tonight, not Monday, not after you feel ready. Tonight, in 11 seconds, you can cast the first honest vote in years and watch the number lift off zero. No one is coming to do this for you. That was always the point. The one person who has to keep your word is the same one who pays for breaking it, and he has waited long enough. So do this now. In the comments, write the single promise you are making tonight and the words day one, not your dreams, not your whole new life. One small promise, put somewhere you can see it. Then come back in 14 days and tell me what moved. If this struck something true in you, subscribe and turn on the bell, because the war within is never won in a single night. It is won the way trust is always rebuilt. One kept word, then another, until the man in the mirror believes you again.